like to see how many events you guys are gonna plan for the future. My name is Lupita. Come on in. We'll have you sign in and then you can join us in the back. My name is Lupita. I'm a neighborhood services coordinator with the city. This is our Building Strong Neighborhood series. So every month we do host a meeting, and sometimes you'll see different topics. So sometimes you'll see like public works, sometimes you'll see stuff with library. Come on in. Are you here for the meeting?
Yeah.
Go ahead and sign in and we'll get you a chair in the back. So we do have Vicky here and Priscilla joining us to do the presentation on the special event. So although I coordinated it, I know nothing about special events, so I'll be learning along with you guys. But Vicky here and Priscilla, they're really the experts, so they're going to mostly guide us through and answer any questions that you guys may have. So I'll pass it off to Vicky. Before we start, there are restrooms over here for anybody that needs them. We do have some water and snacks if anybody needs them. And if you guys have any questions, would you prefer at the end or?
As we go along,
Okay, perfect. So she'll let you guys know. Thank you guys.
well, welcome. Thank you very much for coming. Greatly appreciate it. I'm Vicki Sargent, Management Analyst with Library and Community Services. Can you hear me in the back?
Yes.
Okay, great. And then Priscilla Tran, Administrative Analyst, also with Library and Community Services. And we work together on helping folks through the special event permit process. And so if you are going to do an event that's on public or city property, then you would most likely go through the special event process. If you want to do an event that's on private property, maybe use a parking lot for your business, maybe use your personal home, that doesn't fall under a special event permit. It's probably something that you would contact planning for. And I think the phone number's up here with the permit center and planning. And you would most likely have to get a temporary use of land permit. They call them TULIP, just so you're in the know, but a temporary use of land permit. So there's a number for that as well. If you are participating in a city-sponsored event, maybe at the airport, at a park, then you don't need to get a special event permit because the city is the one sponsoring it. Sometimes things come up and there's a little confusion about that, so just wanted to let you know that. Sometimes people want to do an event and they're not quite sure if they need to do the special event permit. Email or call either one of us and we will help you with that. We'll try and figure out whether you need to go through this process or if we need to direct you to planning or somebody else, and we'll try to help you through that. Sometimes things are unusual and we don't always have an answer right away, but again, we'll help figure out where it needs to go. So the application that you have here, sometimes people see this and they're like, oh no, this is so long. Well, it can be long at times and other times some things may not apply to your event. What's in here are requirements from the city as well as the county. And so we're trying to get it all together. So you would submit your application at least 45 days in advance with your site plan. And Priscilla's gonna talk a little bit more about your site plan. And then we route this. So this and your site plan get routed to the Special Events Committee. And that is made up of people from all the different departments in the city: police, fire, traffic, planning, etc., as well as folks from the county. So it's real helpful that you put everything together and then we route it to the committee, they review it, and then they may come back to us with some questions that we will then share with you. The health department, though, they'll reach out to you individually if you're going to have food. They'll send you the forms that you need. They'll have help walk you through it. The fire department also will do something similar if you're going to have open flames. So you're gonna have food with maybe barbecue or propane. Those are considered open flames. And they will contact you for forms that you need to fill out. So we send it to the special event committee. They review it. They may have comments for us. We'll communicate with you to try and get everything that they need. We put together a draft permit that then goes to the committee. We get feedback, then we put your final permit together. So it is a process because there's so many pieces, which is why we really ask that you give us those first couple items at least 45 days ahead. You could do up to 6 months ahead. You can't do a year ahead, but you could do at least 6 months ahead, up to 45 days. And then it makes it smoother because we're often juggling multiple permits at a time. So it gives us time to communicate with you and for you guys to communicate with us as well. Let's see. Once your permit is done, we send it to you through DocuSign. So I sign, our director of the department signs, and then it goes to you for your signature. Please look at it, please review it. It's gonna look long, so your application here gets to be part of the permit. We add conditions to it, and then we add some attachments that are related to your conditions. So sometimes people will say, I've got a permit that's 80 pages long. Well, your safety permit was so many pages, plus we might have added conditions related to your traffic control plan, because you're closing the street, your tents that fire has. So there's a number of additional documents that we add so that you're aware of what the ordinance is related to those conditions.
It's also the fire invoice if you have open flame, and also public works if you plan on closing any streets. Those invoices will also be included in that packet.
So there are some fees that are associated with your permit, and so just gonna share some of them. I like to share that so that people go in with their eyes open. And we'll also try to work with you, because sometimes if you have multiple canopies together, multiple tents together, that could trigger a temporary structure permit from fire. Whereas if we talk to you and suggest that you separate them, have some spaces in between, that wouldn't be triggered, and you wouldn't have to pay that fee. So we'll try to work with you to see what we can do to either remove or reduce some fees. But typically there's an application fee, unless you're not for profit, which Priscilla will talk about. That's $307.25 right now. If you have amplified sound, it's $145. If you do a parade, it's $86. If you have an event in a park, it's $60. And then there can be fire fees for open flames, temporary structures. If police are involved, there could be police fees. And if you do a temporary traffic control plan, there could be fees from public works, because they're going to be the ones, unless you contract out, to provide your signage, so there's labor, etc. We do share that with you ahead of time as far as what the estimate is, but we don't know the final till the end of that. So that's kind of an overview of the process and what the permit is all about. And we also gave you a checklist. This is to kind of help you figure out what else do I need to turn in, because it's the application as well as these backup items. And on the application, we've tried to kind of put little arrows where you might need to send something else with it. And emailing all that is great. Some folks like to come into the rec center. That's where my office is, 320 Lincoln. If you want to come in, ask some questions or drop stuff off, you're welcome to do that. Email's also great. Sometimes people like to be face-to-face. Other folks, let me just send it through email. Either is fine. So we first look to make sure that you filled it out and that you signed on page 7. So page 7 is, we do need that signature. Sometimes folks have a hard time doing it online. We do have links to an application online that you can fill out. I'm working on updating it. The website is being uncooperative with me, but so you could use this one if you'd like. The one that you have in your hand is a little more up to date, so you can do either. And I would suggest keeping copies. If you want to do this year after year, if you keep copies of everything plus your signed permit, it's going to be 10 times easier to do it the next year. And you just update the dates on your contract. So please sign and date it before you turn it in.
And if you wanted to email it, the special events email address is also on that checklist, just as a heads up. So the next part is if you're a nonprofit, the application fee does get waived. And in order to prove your nonprofit status, you'll have to provide a 501c letter from the IRS, which is the determination letter. The key thing here though is schools do not count as a nonprofit. We don't make the rules, that's just what it is. The next part is we need your site plan. So when you're submitting your application, it's a huge, strong recommendation that you send your site plan in first, at least. But if you have more stuff, that's great. We want as much as you can give us, but the site plan is what we need, because that's what we'll send off to the committee first. And that's essentially a map of what your event's gonna be, where it's gonna take place, and the footprint of how big of the area you're gonna take. Especially if it's gonna be at a park, we have to send it to the Parks Committee first, and then we send it to the Special Events Committee. With that, if you are planning on blocking off streets, then we also need a traffic control plan, which, you have to have a traffic engineer stamp, or, go through a traffic, management company, where we'll send it to the committee to look at as well. On that map, we strongly recommend you also, neatly, mark where the trash cans are and the restrooms, for your event. Tents and canopies, whatever you're using, clearly mark it on the, site plan also. What I've used in the past was Canva, and just have little symbols and create a little legend on the bottom for people to know what each of those little symbols mean. Also taking a screenshot of a Google map, and then, marking it nice and neat and clear so that we can see, and then we'll send that to the committee, so that they can review that.
So when you do your site plan, kind of take a step back, because not everybody's going to be looking at it the same way that you might. So take a step back so that you can see it from somebody else's point of view who doesn't know about your event. Where are you gonna put everything? Do we understand what all the symbols mean? That helps us. That is one thing that we get comments back from, sometimes fire, sometimes traffic, where they ask that we get a more legible site plan. So if you can help us with that, that moves things along a little more quickly.
Yeah, so then the next part is, we also need a sample of your flyer and the communication that you're sending out to the community to notify them about your event. This is just so residents know when an event is happening, so that, you know, one, it's free advertisement for the community to know when your event is, right? And two, just so they know how it impacts their day for that one day event, or however many days your event is. Amplified sound, which, you know, there's a cost to it, just make sure you fill that part out, and that's on page 4. Yes.
So a security plan is also asked for in there, and this can really vary depending on your event. If you're doing a big event with thousands of folks, maybe at the sports complex, we're gonna need a different kind of a plan than if you're doing a smaller event with maybe just a couple hundred people at a park. You don't have to use a security company. Most people do. We've had some churches who have their own security, or they have volunteers who are trained. Just write on there what your security plan is. We need some type of a security plan for your event, whether it's our volunteers will be in these locations, they'll be trained on XYZ, versus working with a security company that maybe has put together a 20-page document on security. And police are the ones really who look at your plan and decide for your event if you have enough guards, if you have enough security, and then they'll give us feedback on that. Sometimes folks would like to have police officers participate or support the event. Years ago, police was they had the capacity to do that more frequently. I think since COVID, it's been a little bit more difficult. There haven't been as many officers. You can ask on your application, but we can't promise you that it'll be there. If you're having a big event and you prefer some law enforcement and PD isn't available, you are also welcome to reach out to the Sheriff's Department as well as probation. They have both participated and helped with events. Those are costs though that you do bear for your event. For some events as well, if PD is helping, there would be fees associated with that. If PD has helped with an event during the day, maybe a homecoming parade, and they're on duty and they don't close the street, it's a rolling parade, they often are able to help and they won't have fees associated with that. So you're aware on that one. And so for the security plan, we actually need a plan. If you're working with a security company, we want a copy of that signed agreement that you have. In the application, we ask for the number of guards that you're gonna have. We do double check that the number that you have on the application matches your contract, so please make sure that they do. We need a copy of their private patrol operator's license that shows us that they're current. as well as a copy of the City of Salinas business license. Most of the companies are aware of this, and they should be able to give you a copy of it with the other information that they provide to you.
Okay, so the next part is, depending on the size of your event, you will need to have restrooms and hand washing stations. So that's determined on the size of your event, and it's based on a county code. What we need for that is a signed agreement that lists out what will be on site, as well as a City of Salinas business license. And like I said earlier when I mentioned the site plan, you'll also want to notate where at the event that your restrooms and hand washing stations will be.
So the city codes around restrooms are one flush toilet for every 200 people. If you're going to have a larger event and you're going to need to add portables, it's one portable for every 40 people. And that can get, that can be a lot. You also have to have sinks. So what we look at is, if we ask you on here, how many people do you think you're gonna have? And maybe you think total you're gonna have 500. Put also, the max we think we're gonna have is 200. Because it's really based on the most you'll have at one time. We, the county, are not going to expect that you'll have enough toilets or portables for the max number. It's based on how many you're gonna have there. You can also, if you're doing an event maybe downtown, you have a relationship with some businesses and they're willing to let you use their flush toilets, get a letter from them saying that they have X number of toilets. They will let you use those restrooms for your event, and then you may not need to get portable restrooms. So that can often be very helpful, particularly downtown, so make nice with the businesses and it will probably help you out there.
So kind of going back to that too, if you do plan on doing an event downtown, when you're doing your communication, you'll also have to send something to the Salinas City Center, letting them know that you're planning to have an event there, so that way they're aware of what's going on also downtown. And then the next piece is the recycling and trash. City of Salinas has an agreement with Republic Services, so if you're using them, all you need is a signed agreement with the number of trash cans and recycling that you'll have. If you're not, then you are gonna have to get a signed agreement and a City of Salinas business license with them. Again, kind of going back to the site plan too, you wanna notate where you're gonna put that as well. And then,
All right. So sometimes folks are using public property as maybe they're closing a street and they're going to use an area that might be part of private property. For example, downtown, maybe they're blocking the 100 block and they want to use the grass area there at the corner of the 100 across from the Steinbeck Center. That actually is not city property, it's owned by Taylor Farms. And so you would need to get permission from the owners of that. You can either have them sign in on the application where it says ask for private property signature, or you can get a letter or email from them. We're happy with any of those. We just want to make sure you chatted with them and that it's okay that you use their property. In there also is a hold harmless agreement and release of liability. We do need that completed and signed when you turn in your application. Am I on insurance? Did I miss insurance? Okay, so when you do a special event, you do need to provide insurance for the city. Attached at the back, I think it's attachment A it's called, are the requirements for it. I think it's the last 2-3 pages, couple pages. You can give those to your insurance provider. It's really funny, people give it to the insurance provider and it seems like the insurance people are like, I'm gonna see if I can just give them this. Well, no, we'll send it back because we need more stuff. So we need the certificate of insurance. We also need an additional insured endorsement. And if you go to, maybe it's the 3rd paragraph where it talks about additional insured endorsement, there's some specific language in there that says the City of Salinas, officers, officials, employees, and volunteers, I think I got it all, must be named as additional insured. So the city requires that that information is either on your additional insured endorsement or on the bottom of your certificate of insurance with a notation that it's by contract. So that needs to be on there. If you have employees, if you're a business or a not-for-profit with employees that will be assisting with the event, we'll need proof of workers' comp insurance. If you're just volunteers, we don't need that. We do need, it talks about waiver of subrogation for general liability as well as workers' comp. So some of you, when I heard those words, I don't know what that means. But your insurance folks should know, we also review it. In the last couple of years, insurance certificates have been a little challenging for people. So I really recommend that you try to get to that sooner rather than later. People used to wait till the last week or two. We have been down to the wire a couple times. So please get with your insurance folks early to make sure that that gets taken care of. One thing regarding the private property owner, I think I forgot to mention, there's a couple of places where we actually want a copy of the contract that you have with them. One is the sports complex, because they have a variety of areas that you can use, and we wanna know what areas they have authorized you to use. So Sherry might sign off on your form, but we also want a copy of the contract, and same with the airport. The airport is city property, they had their own contract agreement, and we'd like a copy of that when you turn it in as well. Your event agenda and entertainment list, that could come at least 2 weeks beforehand. We know sometimes people are trying to nail down who they're gonna have, so get it to us at least a couple weeks ahead of time. We really ideally would love to have all of your stuff together at least 2 weeks ahead, because we'd like to put your stuff together. We know event organizers stress about getting everything in, getting it done on time, and we also wanna have it all together and make sure your permit's done, so everybody can, I'm good, I'm done. So as soon as you can send us stuff, we can put your stuff together.
Same goes for the vendor list, the people, like, if you have vendors coming to your event, you can get that list up to us up to 2 weeks prior to your event, so that way we know who's coming. Generally, that's also the same list, if you have food vendors, that's generally the same list you'll send to the health department also. So you can just send us the same list that you're sending to the health department. The other thing that's not on the main application attachment list, but it is in the application itself, are bounce houses. If you plan on having bounce houses at your event, you'll also have to notate that on your site plan. And what we'll need is a signed agreement with the company that you're going with, listing all the items that will be at the event. We have 3 companies that the city has been approved to work with, and that's Reyes Party Rentals, Kathy Action Packed Fun Jump, and Let's Party Salinas. If it is not city approved, we need a certificate of insurance with additional insured and endorsement, and we'll also send you insurance requirements for bounce houses if it's not one of the approved companies, and we also need their City of Salinas business license.
So for the bounce houses, if you wanna use somebody other than who's already been authorized by the city, let us know so we can send you what those insurance requirements are. They are double what's in the packet that you have for other vendors. And it can be challenging for some bounce house vendors to get those insurance requirements met for the city. So let us know so we can send you that so you can get started on that right away. So there could be additional items that you need to have. You're like, wow, there's more? There can always be more. So if you're having food, you'll need a health permit, which we mentioned that the health department will help you with. If you're going to close a street and you're going to close a street that's a state highway, like 68, 183 maybe, then you need to get a Caltrans encroachment permit. That's through Caltrans. It can take 90 days or longer to get that. If you can change things so you don't need to close a state highway, it's a little easier for you. But we do have a couple of groups that do this every year, and so there is an application you fill out through Caltrans, and then you send us a copy that we add. A couple of years ago, it was taking them 120 days or longer, so recommend turning that in early on when you know. If you're going to do an event where there's alcohol, you need an ABC application. You get that from the ABC license. There's some signatures that go on that, and then you take it to the police department. Sergeant Contreras is the one who's currently signing those. She'll sign off on it, gives you some different conditions as to when you can sell alcohol, when you need to stop, and we get a copy of that, and that goes in your permit as well.
We also put that with your conditions that you'll see as one of the
Any business that you work with where you're giving them money, they have to have a City of Salinas business license. The only thing opposite to that, that's not the right word. The other alternative, thank you, to that is if you get a blanket business license. So we've had some groups, some art groups who wanted to help some new artists who may not have business licenses yet, and they'll get a blanket business license. And that covers those vendors. So business licenses, blanket business license can be a little confusing sometimes. So if you are making money at your event and you do multiple things in the city, most likely you'll need a business license. And if you have vendors that you're working with, you'll need a blanket business license to cover them. If you're doing an event, you only have 1 or 2 vendors, you can have your business license and you can ask for copies of business licenses from your vendors. The headache is sometimes people don't know what a business license is, and people have sent us California seller's permits, their health permit, their other things. So if you've got just a handful, it's probably doable. If you have a number of them, you may want to prefer to do a blanket business license. The drawback with the blanket is that the event organizer has to pay for it. I think it's $250 plus a $4 ADA fee, so $254, versus if the vendor gives you their license. What questions do you have? Yes?
If you have food and it's something like oranges, tangerines, bananas, you still need to have all that listed? Like non-prepared, non-cooked food? So any type of food?
Any food, so when you fill out your application and we get your site map, we will send it out to the committee, which includes the health department. And they typically email us and say, we will be reaching out to the organizer and send them the information. And then they'll work with you about what you may need, what you don't need. If you're a not-for-profit, they often will give you, I think 3, maybe 4 free health permits. But yes, you put it on there and they will contact you, and typically if you have any food, you'll need some kind of a permit.
And also for the alcohol, if you have something like O'Doul's non-alcoholic drinks, are these still considered alcohol?
You're nodding your head, yes.
There's a small percentage of alcohol in it. It's non-alcoholic, right?
Okay, and if they're like samples, do you still need to?
Yes,
go
even if we
through?
have samples of alcohol, yes. What other questions? In the back.
So you're saying the minimum time frame, or the minimum time that the city needs to prepare the permit to do this is 45 days.
Yes,
How
minimum.
How long can we expect to hear back from the city? Say everything's, and I guarantee, I almost promise you, I'm sure, if we go by percentages, I'm sure almost all of them have something that's missing. But if things were done absolutely perfect, everything was filled out correctly, you had site plans and insurance companies and whatever else, what's the approval time?
So, all right, so that's a good question. You've got everything, so we will typically respond. If you send an email or something, we'll typically respond to you within 24 to 48 hours, just at least saying we've received it, and then within a few days, we may email you back saying what you need. If you don't need anything, we'll just probably say, we're sending it to the Special Events Committee.
How often do they meet?
Well, we send it through email, and we usually give them about a week, business week, 4 or 5 days for them to review it. It depends on how far out your event is. Like, we have some applications for stuff out 3 or 4 months from now.
Yeah.
And so we may wait, we'll probably say, thank you for your application, and then we may wait a month or so before sending you something saying, hey, these are the items that we need. Once we get something back from the Special Events Committee, they don't have any comments, nothing like that, then we put together a draft permit, goes to the committee again, because you never know, they might say, oh, now that you put this in here, I wanna look at it. If we're good after the week or so that we've given them, and we can put the permit together, we'll be done. I know that didn't exactly answer your question. If you've got everything together, I would say within 3 weeks.
2 to 3 weeks, yeah.
Should be about 3 weeks. Does that answer your question?
Gives me an idea, yes.
Okay, all right. I think you had a question, and then we'll go over there.
Yes, two questions. One, you have a list of the bounce house companies, that's great. Do you also have a list of all the other food vendors and everything that's been approved through the city, or is there a thing like that?
So with food
Or business,
vendors-
or those that have business licenses?
So food vendors are a little different, right? Like with food vendors.
Are they
we
different?
don't
Yeah,
have
you
a
can
list.
use
Yeah.
whichever food
You can
vendors
use
you
any.
like.
You can use any food vendor you want to use, but they do have to have a City of Salinas business license.
Okay,
Unless you
Or
have a
or
blanket.
you can get a blanket business license.
Yes, we get one.
Yeah,
okay.
which covers them also.
So the health department, when you turn in your list to the health department, they go through their database to see if your vendor is current with them.
Sure.
And we've had groups who have a whole bunch of vendors and they'll say everybody's good, but maybe one or two of these. And we let the organizer know to reach out to those vendors. Occasionally they'll say, I'm not gonna use those vendors, or they'll say, oh, they're getting it sorted. But by the time we're getting nearly done, we're like, well, we can't, you're not gonna get your health permit unless you sort of figure out what's happening with this vendor. You have a
Okay,
follow-up?
yeah, in the use permit I did years ago in another city, there was some wording that was needed to be used to allow the event to continue on year after year. Do you have any wording like that that needs to be added into the equation?
So right now, if you wanna do something year-round,
Mhm.
well, if your event is a first-time thing, we're probably just going to give you a permit for the first one. See how it goes, see if you wanna make changes, because we have done some where we've given people multiple dates, and then they're like, oh no, we wanna change this, we wanna change this, we wanna change this. And it's like, okay, how do we do that with this permit? So it's often best when it's a new event to do it once, and then we figure out what changes, and then we might be able to do multiple dates. But we've only done multiple years, like for a farmer's market, where they do every Saturday, and I believe we did it for 2 years because they've been doing it for so long.
And then, does the city offer a special events insurance liability company to use for these different events that are being in the city? Or do we have to just go fish around?
So if you contact us, we can give you some information. Hub is a company that we've referred some folks to. I know that some insurance companies are not insuring for some kinds of events, depending on what it is. But Hub is one that the city has offered to folks before. And gentleman in the back who asked about the special event committee, the committee, we do communicate by email, but right now we have meetings set up for every other week. They often get canceled if we don't have new stuff coming up. We're getting busy now. And we have a meeting, I think, next Tuesday, and somebody's doing a new event, and we've invited that organizer to come. So if you do a new event, we'll probably invite you to come. And that really is so that you can share with police, fire, traffic, those folks that are there, what your event is. They get a chance to make some suggestions, to ask some questions. You can share what support you might need, what questions you have. So there is a committee that can meet in person, particularly when we have new events. Yes.
So we are a nonprofit and we wanted to do a member barbecue.
Okay.
So it would be not open to the general public, but a private event.
Okay.
And we're not selling any food, we're giving the food away for free. And we're hiring a barbecue company that's local to do that. And it's at Toro Park. Do we still need to go through this entire process if we reserve the space?
Toro
Toro
Park is
Park.
county,
It's
so that
county.
wouldn't go through the city.
Okay,
Right.
Yeah,
okay.
so that's
So
through.
you're like,
the
all
county.
right, we're going.
Somebody other events now.
Woo! Everybody!
Talk to Bianca.
We just get to observe, and I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. I like, oh, we're in
Yeah,
trouble.
Toro, yeah,
County park
so
and stuff.
Toro's the county, we don't deal with the county.
Okay.
So we don't need a permit for the county?
We
No,
don't
you
know.
do. I'm
We
the
don't
county
know.
part.
So
Talk
he's
to
gonna,
him.
Yeah.
I talked to him
Yeah.
after he oversees that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
it's different.
If you
Next,
wanted
it's
to
not in
do-
2 weeks.
Yeah. 3.
If you wanted to do a private event at a park, maybe we'd do a park permit, but it really depends on what you're doing. So, like, there's a group of Girl Scouts who every year does a day camp. We don't do a special event permit, we do a park permit. They still turn in a site plan, insurance. So there are times when we talk about it and figure out what's the best way to go, what makes the most sense. So let us know. Yes.
Questions, what is a follow-up to the gentleman's question? I like doing events too, but, I like planning with a lot of time, so I may get a little nervous to hear that I might submit something months in advance and get held. Is there a way to request that so that I can get that vetting process done, and if I need to follow up and address items, I have plenty of time to do it, timely, as opposed to just having it sit?
Yes, yeah, just let us know. We know that sometimes people are working with other organizations, there's other things going on. And so you can let us know, hey, I'm on a timeline, I'm working with folks, am requesting that, I get a response sooner. Just bring it to our attention.
Just keep in mind, we only take applications up to 6 months in advance, so it's
Yeah.
6 months, so.
And then my second, if you can clarify about what was used when you mentioned vendors or contractors, ones that we would work with versus others. Any vendor that we are working with, what is, irrespective of their function, you need to have what exactly?
So if you are working with somebody, if you're contracting with somebody for restrooms, for a stage, for any of that kind of stuff, that they're providing stuff to you for your event, they need to have a City of Salinas business license. If you're having an event and you're having a number of vendors who are selling to the community, you would need a blanket business license that covers that. The side to that is, if you have one or two of them, and you can just get a copy of their business license, those vendors, then you don't need the blanket license.
So if it's 2 or less, then we just provide a copy.
If you wanted to do it for 50, you could, but I think you'd lose your mind. So that's why we recommend the blanket, but you can do either one. It's just that from experience, when folks have had to get business licenses from a number of vendors, they're getting sent all kinds of weird stuff.
And then actually I have a third question with, the site plans. With any events that you posted, like, very popular locations across the city, do you have templates or sample layouts that you know have worked already? It could save, an organizer some time to know, to go with a certain layout if it's been used successfully in the past.
We don't have that yet, but we can surely think about working on that soon.
And some folks, because there's so many different places that people have done it, sometimes they said, hey, I know there's a group that's done something at the train station. Can I see that? Well, if you tell us that you'd like to make a public records request, then we can upload that and delete people's personal information and then make it accessible to you.
Just thinking about how important the site plans are, Dion said, if there's a template, a layout that already
Yeah.
works.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Yeah,
it's
we
what's-
can look into that.
Yes.
So we have one here and
Woman in the back, sorry about that.
So, I'm gonna be releasing a book, so I wanted to see if I have to fill out the special events, like if I want it promoted here at the library,
so
or how does that work?
you'd have to contact the library about that, so
Okay.
that's different than.
I think I know that it's.
Okay.
Okay.
And then we
somebody
have
else?
one over here.
Hi, just a question about the PTO, you said schools don't count, does that include the PTO, or I'm sorry, schools don't count for nonprofit?
Correct.
That includes PTOs,
If they're a 501c3, then they qualify.
and they qualify, okay,
Yeah.
excellent, awesome.
Yeah, schools aren't 501c3s, and that's specific in the ordinance. So somebody has to be a 501c3 to qualify to have the application fee waived.
And then, oh, sorry, just a follow-up
No, that's
question,
okay.
if we wanna rent a school or like a school site, do we go through you, do we go through the district
Go
first?
through the district, that's
Okay.
their property, it's not city
It's not
property.
city, okay.
So a special event permit is not needed. If you wanted to close part of the street to
Okay.
change traffic, then you probably need to go through us.
Okay.
So we have these two back here, and then we'll move up there.
Okay, first I wanna thank you guys for bringing this presentation to us. It's a lot, I'm having, PTSD flashbacks of going to the permit office. So, have you guys thought about compartmentalizing, these events, breaking them down into actual, private event, public event? Have you ever thought about breaking it down into compartments where people can go in and they know what they're looking for, and that way they know what permits and what they need to pull for that particular event that they're trying to do? Cause there's a lot, I mean, there's a lot.
Yeah, there is a lot. So if you're doing something on public property, park, closing a street,
All I'm asking is if
special
you're,
event permit.
as long as you're, all I'm saying is, just have different things, different types of event that the city put, get, people come in looking for these permits with specifics of what they need to accomplish, because when you do the blanket one, you do all this information, we have to wait to hear back from you before we can move forward. Whereas if you guys, okay, you're going to do a public event on public property or city property, these are all the things that you need to have done for that specific thing, instead of them going through all the different categories that you guys have on the blanket sheets, and then going for stuff that they don't need for their event, misunderstanding what the information is.
Right. We've actually talked about maybe putting together an application that might be a little different just for parades. So that we might be able to move that way. Right now, this application includes everything that's listed in the ordinance that's required. So it's something we can certainly look at to see if we can divide that out, because the application can seem a little daunting.
Yeah, you're saying that and you guys know it.
Yeah.
We don't.
Yeah.
we'll have to look at
So,
the
but we're
justice.
also very open to, and I've done this a number of times, somebody calls and says, I got this application, I don't know what I'm doing, and we'll walk through it.
Yeah.
We suggest you put something like this, tell me about your event. For example, we ask for a medical plan. So if you're having a small event, and that I believe is required by the county, that there's some kind of a medical plan. So if you're doing a small event, you might just put in there that we have our cell phones charged and we're gonna call 911 if there's a problem. If you have a bigger kind of event, you might say, we're gonna have a nurse on site, we know where the hospitals are, we'll call 911, we're gonna have a first aid kit, something that's kind of off the cuff, but it really depends on the type of event that you're doing and what meets the need for your event. Yes, ma'am. Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, I have a question. Oh, sorry. So since we are talking about events happening more on city property in this space here, and we have the mayor over here, I have a question. So if say we wanted to have an event, like say a 4th of July event, we wanted to have it somewhere connected to this, I don't know, maybe even not connected on the city property, but sponsored by the city, or anything sponsored by the city, how does that play out?
If it's an event that the city's putting on, like, the city sometimes does Halloween in the park, they do movies in the park, then you don't need to do and maybe you've been invited to participate as an organization or a vendor, then you don't have to do anything related to a special event permit. If you're doing something yourself or you're part of an event, then it would have to be the special event permit. If you're doing something on private property that's different than what that property is usually used for, then you would need to go through the planning or permitting. There's a phone number up here, permit center, and most likely have to get a temporary use of land permit or a TULIP, and they'll help you with that part. Yes.
I'm gonna raise it really high, sorry, thank you. Yes, I'm concerned about some things. One of the things that I want to ask about are, neighborhood-wide, yard sales.
Oh, okay.
Do you need a special permit for that? And are there items that you can and cannot sell? Like, for example, food, people are always selling out of the trunk of their car, and we have a lot of people that do that in our neighborhoods. What are some of the things that are allowed and not allowed, or do you have a document that I could possibly get from you as to the do's and don'ts of these, neighborhood watch, or not neighborhood watch, neighborhood
Yard sales.
yard sales?
So yard sales are in a different department. I can't remember if it's permitting.
Would you like?
Okay, so we're gonna make a note about that.
Okay.
I know people have called me before, but it's been a while about yard sales, so we'll get some information. What was your name?
My name is Yolanda Hayes.
Yolanda Hayes, got it. So we'll have your email or phone number over there, and we'll follow up with you.
Okay, and the other thing is on holidays, since I'm a neighborhood watch captain in my neighborhood, I get a lot of complaints about a residential area on Newport and Lexington that they're overdoing it with the traffic and the lights. They're putting lights throughout the two streets, and those streets are already narrow, already have cars that park on both sides. And some of them have told me they had already met with the mayor and our city council member and kinda are going to approve that. Who is the committee that makes this approval without letting all the residents know? Because there's a lot of people, these take place sometimes when people go to work at night. And they block the streets and there's a lot of traffic. So if the mayor and the city council member have already made a decision to go through with it, how does that work? How do the other residents that they impose their traffic in the other neighborhoods, how does that work? Do they just go ahead and get approval and everybody shut up and be happy about it? Not that I'm a Grinch. I'm not a Grinch. I love Christmas and I'm
Right.
Christian, so
I do have,
that
I do
means a
have to
lot
speak up.
to me.
Mayor, I think you have a
The
comment.
mayor and the city council do not, it does not work like that, and the mayor understands fully it goes through the process. So that simply doesn't happen.
So occasionally people decide to do things without getting a permit. And when we find out, then, we try to reach out to organizers to let them know, hey, there's a process, let us help you with that. There's a location where some people have been doing some unpermitted events. Police is aware, and so they're sending out extra folks to drive through that area. So when we know, we can see what we can do, with other departments. But if somebody puts in an application that they wanna do something, sounds like a street closure, there have been times when folks from the special event committee have said, you know, there've been some issues in this area, and they'll give us some suggestions to give to the event organizers about changing it to maybe not impact certain areas. And so we'll try and work with the event organizer. So it's multiple departments that will approve and or make suggestions or say, we can't do it if this is what's gonna happen. If they can make these changes, then we might be able to approve it.
So we can.
We don't mind, but, you know, and I know Safeway sometimes provides parking, but it just gets really, really impacted, and it's just, I mean, it's not just our neighborhoods, they come from everywhere, even from Marina and Seaside.
Yeah.
I mean, it really impacts the other residents that don't decorate, and they have to go to work at night, and there's so much traffic and they can't get through.
Right.
I know, because my granddaughter's an ambulance driver, so
Yes.
she's like, I can't even get through there.
Yeah, there've been
I
a
know,
couple,
right.
there have been a couple events that the community, the special event committee has been talking about. And so they might be a few times when trying to figure out how do we make this work? Do we get code enforcement out there? Do we get police out there? To try to
Or a
coordinate.
timeline.
Yes.
A timeline, because if you do it for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, but I mean, it's an enormous job decorating, enormous. But again, there's no parking anywhere.
Yeah.
We can take up to a few more two more questions, and then we gotta wrap up, sorry.
So we'll take these last three, and then, I do have an announcement. If we have enough time, we can do it, but if not, that'll be the last.
And we'll be here if you wanted to talk to us, or feel free to reach out. I did bring some of my business cards, which I'll put up here. You're
And
welcome.
also the email address for the special events email, it goes to us also, it's on the, checklist sheet too, so if you still have questions after today, you can always send us.
Hey, can I just ask about the committee, the last thing? Who's on this committee that makes the decisions?
So there's people from the fire department, there's a number of folks, police department, traffic, public works, health department, there's a handful of folks from the health department, planning, permitting, am I forgetting a department? Public works, finance. Yes. So, a bunch of different departments.
And also from the county too.
Yes, health
Yeah.
department from the county.
Yeah. So,
If an event was having like pre-sold tickets, one was private but then another one was like public, like what would be the difference between the two events? Like the permitting process?
Public, private. If it's on city property, then it's most likely going to be a special event permit. But we can always talk through some things and figure out if it's something
Yeah.
different or you need to do something different. Sometimes it's hard to say, it's always like this.
Yeah, if you're unsure, you can always send us an email or call us. We are always happy to help.
Yes,
So if you have, multiple applications for the same, location at the same date, how do you guys decide which event is gonna get chosen?
it's typically, it's by who got their application in first. We do have a couple groups where there's been conflict before, and, one group got it in before the other, and they worked with the other group, and it worked together. The second time, the second group got their application in first, and they just wanted to do what they wanted to do.
Alright, thank you.
I don't know how much you guys can spend on this, because it's like the health department, but do you have an estimate about how much fees would be included for these vendors?
It depends on the health department. They charge us, so on your permit cover, the fees we put on there are the city fees. And then it's whatever the health department fees are separate from what we have as a city.
And if you were, sorry, you can always contact us, we can always, for fire, if you want, idea of how much it might cost, we can pull somebody else's fire permit and think, okay, they had X number of vendors, this is what they paid. You can also reach out to fire yourself, it's fireprevention@salinas.gov, and they will help you as well.
And as soon as we get your application and it's routed to the special events committee, if the fire department sees that there will be food vendors there, they'll reach out to you.
Alright, guys, thank you guys. We're already at time, so I just wanna be mindful of everybody's time. It seems like we have a lot of people here that are very knowledgeable, they work for different, departments, so good opportunity to network, but, lastly, before we just, wrap up, I know they're going to be available for questions after, but, I did give everybody a survey. If you don't have one, I do have extras and some pens. If you guys can all please take the survey, this really helps us in planning future, BSNs, we call them BSNs. So if you guys are interested in learning about different topics or just any feedback for us, please fill it out. We really use this to do our planning. And we do have another one coming up in May. I don't have a date yet, but we will share it with all of you guys. However you heard it, Instagram, Facebook, email, all of that, we will be sharing our May's events with all of you. So if you guys are interested, please join us at those as well. Any last questions before we wrap up? Okay, I'll be here. You guys can just turn in your surveys to me, and Vicky and Priscilla are here for any questions. Thank you guys all for coming.
Thank you for coming, really.
Yes.
Thank you.
Hey, I'm gonna ask the mayor
If you didn't sign in, please sign in.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
for the 4th of July.
I know, right? Didn't answer any questions, it made it more confusing. That's what I'm saying, didn't even come. No.
My husband Victor
Victor,
joined.
nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Anderson, both friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's lacking. I do his bidding. This is, I was hoping there'd be a lot more clarity with this, but it's basically what's already on the website. It didn't help anything. It didn't break down anything. That's why I wanted to say it should make it into, okay, you're gonna have an event on the city property, with this, you're gonna have an event on private property with this, that would make it easier. There would be a difference. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's like going to the permit center, Yeah. Hey.
We're doing this now very often, aren't we?
Yeah.
We're seeing each other.
Yes. Take care, Yolanda. See ya.
So if it's private land, why do we still have to do the tour?
Well, that's the thing. The city.